Mel, I appreciate that. Oh, off he goes. Oh, he's back. Yeah, we received hey, Travis.
Hey, everybody.
So
Hello.
how are you doing, Travis?
Good.
Are you feeling better?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good.
It was only like a 24-hour thing for me. And then I still had to quarantine forever. So
Yeah. Wow, that was great. It was so short for you. That's a relief.
Is that the second time you got it though?
yeah. But
Yeah.
first time I wasn't vaccinated.
Oh,
Wow.
And then I got vaccinated afterwards.
Was it less rough this time than the first time?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Living proof. Yes.
hmm. Yeah, I'd
Good.
probably be dead. Because
Yeah.
I was vaccinated. I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. My lungs hurt more from just chain smoking, not having anything to do, being stuck at home. Like my lungs hurt. I've been smoking so much weed and cigarettes and spliffs.
I saw 2 of our vaccine lawn signs on my own block out in the wild.
Oh, good.
Yay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, Trip Chick, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. You don't have to show your face. Have you seen any of the lawn signs that we're talking about? I can show you some pictures if you want.
I saw some at the end of North Pole on my bike ride today. Several houses had, at least 2 houses had lawn signs. Right there when you go onto the bike path.
Nice.
I think a guy that owns New Day Bill, I think he lives right there. And I don't know who lives in the other house that had signs. And thanks to Doriandra, I have one on my front lawn.
Yay. And I think, Travis, you need one, huh? I think I saw a message come across something.
Yeah, I want the one with the lefty and with the scooter and with all the people.
Okay. Yeah, we've got them all in storage, and we had planned on doing the Thinking Tree event at the end of this month, but it's best, they agreed with us to just pause because of the surge.
Right.
So we can start to I'm happy to drop one off on your lawn for you, Travis, and just I've got a couple in the car left from the clinic, but I think our next big point of contact where we give those out would be at the next clinic, the February 13th clinic.
Okay.
Folks, and then we'll just reevaluate. And yeah, in terms of events, I think we were talking about that last time we all met, the stuff, I want to try to get in the pipeline for us, because now the phone booth is at Oakshire. We may want to feature that as the event for February and just focus again a little bit later for the 20 is plenty, but I'm just waiting for dates and confirmation and the surge to.
So have we so the 2020 or the 20's plenty signs, that's a separate deal, right?
Yeah, those are still in storage. Yeah, we haven't cracked those out at all yet.
And that's what you want to do at Thinking Tree?
Yeah, that there was going to be like a party to release those at Thinking Tree at the end of this month, but because of the surge, it's supposed to like really peak at the end of the month. We talked through it, and it just seems like not wise to do it, so that's paused. And yeah, if you folks all have any interesting other like ideas where we could really promote those safely and get them out quicker, that's great. But I'm open to anything. I'm just kind of thinking it's, if we can't get them out now because of the surge, then maybe featuring them at the next vaccine clinic would be a great way to just start getting them out. What do y'all think?
When's the next vaccine clinic?
February 13th.
Okay.
So shortly after when we should have had their opening, as it were. But yeah, we're paused now with Oakshire because they may be able to give us February 23rd as a call to our future opening night there, which would align with the Oakshire Inspires night. So $1 from every glass of beer that's sold goes back to WCAT.
Yeah,
And
that'd be awesome.
yeah, I think
Fantastic.
so. I think so too. And, they set up the nice little table, and their walls right now have art on them, but it would be neat, if there was some kind of we could just really plan it as a great event. If there's art that we could kind of get in that belongs to you guys or something, that would be neat. But
Red Pendleberries.
Why don't we put, this may sound odd, why don't we put the lawn signs up? It's just,
Yeah.
that's a crazy idea, but we have those beautiful lawn signs, and that's part of the
Part of the-
cat.
And Brett Pendleberry's portraits.
That's hilarious, Travis. Just invite Brett.
Oh gosh.
Dude, we're super close. And by the way, welcome, Joy. I know that your camera's turned off. I just wanted to say hi. Thanks for joining tonight. And so, yeah, I feel like we're closer than ever to being able to get Brett's portraits out into the world. Oh my God, after saying hi, she just bailed. But yeah,
wow,
we're
they're
super close to getting all this stuff tied up with a bow.
So did we hear that Sam Bonds was willing to let us put them along their fence, along that red fence? Like, I feel like I had a conversation with Molly at one point or something, and we talked about that after we did the whole like have the community vote on where they thought would be the wisest places to put them, and we did like a lot of like the, and we were gonna put them all the different places, but then it was like really hard to get permission from certain places, and then like, I don't know. But
I
I
have
could,
a memory that we had a conversation about that, but I don't
I'll talk
remember
to,
anything more than that.
I'll talk to Molly and see if I can get a hold of Steve, I think his name is, who owns Sam Bonds, and just like check with them. And then we just have to have somebody make just some information placards about like who they are, when they lived, when they died, whatever, which should be really simple. I mean, that's way easier than getting a phone booth built.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And put in place.
Yeah, now you've jinxed it. Thanks for
Oh.
thanks for screwing everything up, Travis.
Yeah, it's all my
Great.
fault.
Okay, so let's see, back to events. Yeah, we circled around the call to our future. So yeah, maybe next week I'll have more info for everyone about what we can do, but it's just we got to pause. So and speaking of the surge, this is super exciting. Ian's going to be working on a post tonight, so please check the social media later. He just got an incredible access to free COVID kits for folks in the WIT. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
What-
here's the link. Yeah,
The test
perfect.
kits?
Yes, this will be
Okay.
ahead of the Biden rollout. So these kits are going to zip codes that have higher risk. So if you need these, I'd get them quickly, like tonight, before the system's all clogged down. Ian and I were having some trouble just testing it. So there's the link, and spread the word, folks.
so I'm not quite sure. So is this a site that we go to?
Yes,
Get kits? Okay,
Yes.
that you linked us in the chat.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Each
Each
household,
household can order up to 4.
Okay, I got,
it's a, sorry, yeah, it's a 1 4-pack that'll come to each household. So
I'll go on there. Thanks.
yeah, and help your neighbors and stuff, folks that
Yeah.
can't. I have some friends that are disabled and don't do the computer, so I just got theirs ordered, and yeah, really exciting. That's just awesome. So
So they're going to send you 4 test kits and 1 cat.
no, Rupert
the-
does.
The cat is not of your choice, and it's not somebody else's cat. So they have a limited number of tests, but a seemingly unlimited number of cats.
No
Pass,
cats in the WIT.
Pass, pass.
pass on the cat.
Oh
Okay.
no.
I've had enough cats in my life. I don't want any more cats.
Oh,
I'd take a dog.
oh, maybe there's a dog feature. Yeah. Okay.
I want a dog.
All right. So, okay, folks, let's circle back to the free wall that we were just starting to talk about. Josh, thank you for that input. And without dragging everyone into the laboriousness of it, he was pointing out, we did get the contract from the contractor, and Josh and Ian and I have looked at it and it looks solid. So Ian, I did want to ask you, Josh brought up a really good point in an email we had earlier about, like, there's these little things that the contractor is talking about that could be an issue that are not part of his bid. And I think they're all pretty much nothing to be worried about. Stuff like restoring the ground, hazmat removal. I think it may just be standard language. So do y'all want to see that, or just let us, should we just push on with it? And
I trust you.
okay, thank you.
I feel like after all this phone booth momentum, we really need to just keep moving forward. I feel like it's gonna go phone booth, free wall, Pendlebury, and then after that, chair sculpture.
No.
Oh, I agree. Oh,
Okay.
I also wanted to say before, I mean, I'm super stoked about free walls. But so since we're not doing art walk maps until we start the art walk season, are we still just updating it like online, or how are we going to do that? Because there's still going to be some things going on. Like my housemate Lester just took over like the art art curator position at Alluvium, and he's been doing portrait painting, and he's going to have a show at the end of February. And I told him we would either, like, if he sends us stuff, we could like post it just on the WCAT page and maybe the Whitaker community page, you know, just to kind of like share that information. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about like just having people send us information or images that they already have, so we don't have to put time into it for their shows. Or should we do like a virtual, like a digital map that we change every month with the stuff? Like, I don't know what you guys would feel comfortable doing or what makes sense. But I just thought it'd be a good idea to talk about this and figure out the best way to still promote art in the neighborhood shows and events while we're not doing art walk maps.
Yeah, I think that's really reasonable and a good idea to promote events like that for sure. So I checked now the WCAT email. So if stuff funnels through there in enough time, then I can get it and pass it on through our social media gal. You know, Claire can do an upgrade. And then as far as the map, I feel like we're kind of paused in terms of Emma's capacity right now because her contract is over. And so there's like, we'll have to talk about a volunteer part of that. If she can help us kind of get that online, it may take a little time because there's other projects in front of it that I know she's finishing. So unless there's, you know, given that she's been making the map, it seems like she'd be the smart person to, you know, to like actualize it onto getting it over. And from there, I mean, Ian, do you feel it could have its own space on the Whitaker Community Council website? Or is that too much of an ask of Grace to like?
Yeah, so we would need to have a new contract for website updates, but I'm hoping the board's going to vote in favor of that, not this month, but in February. Like I would bring a new proposal to them and we could all have input on that stuff.
Okay, great. Does that help, Travis? Oh, he's got stuff going on. Okay. All right, great, Ian. Thank you. Okay. So we've got so much exciting things to work on. And tonight, I would love to jump into starting to think tank together the call to artists for the Big 10 intersection murals intersection and crosswalk murals. So today, Ian and I kind of went over a timeline that's we can expect for this big project, and I'm starting it this week. So for our team, we should be thinking about three things. One, the how we want the call to artists to start to look like, what it needs to include. Two, we need to start kind of think tanking suggested locations in the WIT. Some of it will have to do with traffic, like, statistics of calming areas that are needed. But I think if we can present the city with our ideas of where we want these pieces of art, then that's a much better standing point than asking them where we can have them. So then the third thing is to start thinking too about the logistics of it, because in researching it today, like say for instance, we want to do Fifth and Blair, it's right, let's just think hypothetically, folks in that entire area have to be petitioned and they have to all agree that they want this thing there. So we really need to think about expanding our volunteer base and making WCAT a larger entity, because we'll have to be doing this in 10 locations, so those are the three objectives I have tonight, is to kind of how to think tank those.
Wow.
So
And that's a tough ask too, because we're already seeing pushback on social media on the vaccine messaging. And I talked to a few people who live in the Whitaker, and I was just casually mentioning, that we're going to have these cool murals that we're getting funding from the CDC and stuff. And they're like, they were very opposed to the idea. And I was like, oh boy, I can see there's going to be some pushback here from a lot of the anti-vax people. So what the thought I had was, how as us as a group can we make that messaging as like generic as possible without being like in your face, this is a mural about vaccines? Like, can we do like we're all in this together kind of thing? Or
I mean, I think
I just wanted to say that.
I get that too, because I feel like a lot of the stuff we've been doing, because of the nature of the funding that we've got, it's starting to look more like propaganda than like actual just art, and that's, I think, what I feel like a lot of people are feeling about like what we're doing, because everything so far, aside from the Reflections project, has been like vaccine, like pro-vaccine stuff and vaccine confidence.
There certainly is that danger, that's why I think it could be in our best interest to try to like,
I mean, just because the money comes from the CDC, does that mean that it has to be a pro-vaccine thing?
yes.
but I mean, like, how explicit does the language, I mean, does it even have to have language in it? Can it just be textless?
That is the hope, actually. That's the preference
Huh.
of the traffic and planning in the city, because they're asking to have little or no wording and to coordinate the art in terms of symbols mostly, and also traffic symbols, so that don't confuse people, like we don't want to put a stop where it says go, but right. But yeah, it is a very ambitious art call, in that it has to all be vaccine. And it's not just COVID though, it's also influenza. So if that helps, it's kind of like, it's just trying to increase confidence.
See how, but I don't see how that's relevant to like the whole traffic calming thing, because it's supposed to be slowing motorists down and like.
No, this is something different, I think, right?
Beautifying. We're talking about the traffic murals in in the
Crosswalks.
I mean, half the time motorists don't even know how to use a damn crosswalk in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
True.
I'm
You
just
make them
curious
even more
how,
cool.
like, ultimately, I'm just really curious how generic we can push the imagery, like, can it be colors and shapes? Or
Yes.
does it have to be needles and masks, like, how do you find that balance? And the hard part is we could come up as a group with guidelines, but really we want the artists to have their own take on it. So yeah, that's a tough call. It's a tough ask.
Ian, yeah.
Yeah, I think that we should talk a little bit more about pushback and just be super honest in this venue about it. Because like, you know, I know people who have died in the Whitaker from COVID. I know businesses that have closed because of COVID in the Whitaker. So COVID's a thing, right? And also like money to artists is a thing, you know?
Right.
Like if peeps want to trip out on being like, yo, this is propaganda, I'm like, what are you talking about, man? When's the last time the federal government gave two shits about artists in the Whitaker? Like, I get that we need to be real about the framing of this and like what is propaganda and what's not propaganda. I feel like based on the yard signs, we have a pretty good sense if people are going to come correct and they're going to come like pretty respectful of the community and what they will and won't stomach here. Like, I think that we need to be creative, but also I don't think that we need to be creative. I think we just need to communicate to the community with respect to what the grant framework is, right? Because they're definitely, you know, Doriandra and I met these people. They're nice people. They're still like civil servants for the federal government, you know? So they're not thinking too outside the box. They got really stoked on the phone booth. They got jazzed on the yard signs, right? So I feel like we're way closer to what they will be able to fund and we're farther along. But I really want to have a little conversation right now, if that's cool with y'all, about like what kind of pushback people are feeling and be real too. Because if you're, you know, hearing propaganda, Travis, I think we should be open. Josh, if you're out for beers or chatting with folks and they're pushing back real heavy, because like a lot of people are just like anti-vax, you know, there's a lot of people who are like anti-mask, you know, like Rick Dancer or whatever it is, his name is, like came out with something today about how, you know, anti-mask, anti-vax.
Oh my God.
Yeah, is like
800,000 cases a day and somebody's still anti-mask. How is that even possible?
yeah, I'm just saying, like, I
Still
think
flat
we
earthers,
need to hear that out and have a conversation about it, but we also need to be like real, like people are still dying in Lane County.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, not only that, but people are still getting hit by cars. And people are still getting hit on bicycles by motorists. And,
Yeah.
you know, so I just, for me, it feels more like it's more of a traffic directed thing than a COVID directed thing. And it's be more about driving safety and fucking, you know, slowing cars down and kind of, you know, like helping make the streets a bit safer and not necessarily being something, even though they want us to frame it that way. I think we could say this is paid for by whatever blah on the corner, but I mean, and that's all you really
it won't work.
do.
I wrote the grant. It won't work. Like the
No?
reason we
Okay.
got the money is because we have to make it a certain way. And I wish it wasn't. The traffic slowing signs was the closest we could get there, Travis, because the money will go to people who show their vaccine card and get the traffic slowing sign. So I wish that we could do it like that, but it won't happen, man. And I try to hustle any way that we can, but this one particularly, like I have never seen a more stringent funder. I mean, they are like, bring my daughter back at 9 p.m. or I'll hunt you down like the dog that you are. Like there's no
So
room
much
for error.
Question, Ian, what does that mean? Like failure to like solidify the grant or failure to give them what they want? What would that look like? I'm just curious.
It would reflect really poorly on the Whitaker Community Council, who's like trying to desperately to get more like tests and masks and resources for vaccine clinics to the community. So that would be no bueno. This is also like a super visible grant too, because we're the only nonprofit in the state of Oregon, right? So that's kind of a wrinkle too.
Well, I think you hit on two very important keys right away. That transparency from our end, like full transparency on what is happening here might ease some tensions in the community, and leading with the money that goes to artists. Like put that right on the front of the table as like 75% of the pie, you know, and then maybe trickle into it being for the CDC part near the end. I don't know, but you want to lead with your, best things first, and that being money to the artists. And
So
then people might
are-
start to understand.
Are we afraid that, is there fear that the project people will talk bad? I mean, what's the fear? What are people afraid of being explicit about the fact that the money is coming from the CD to support vaccine?
One point I can make is in my small conversation that we were talking about the yard signs, and then I mentioned it being like crosswalk murals, and that's where the problem came in. They're like, oh, they're crosswalk murals. That's for the entire community. That isn't just on somebody's lawn. That's like gonna be there semi-permanently, and that's when the pushback kind of was really quite a bit stronger. Because
Tell
it wasn't
me,
just yard signs.
what was the pushback? So somebody said, oh, I don't want that in my neighborhood, or?
Yeah, basically.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
they were vaccinated too. They were just like, I feel like if what their opinion was, and this was only like one or two people, mind
Yeah.
you, but people I respect in the community. In fact, some of you may know Colleen Forbes. She's a midwife in town. Anyway, great lady. She knows so many people. She's a midwife, so she's delivered every baby in the Whitaker damn near. So she was just like, wow, that's like, she thinks it's too political, basically, is that it's leaning in one direction.
Mhm.
And for it to be a crosswalk, it was like really out in the open and blatant politics. So that was
Why
her
is getting a
opinion.
That's a
vaccine
problem.
political?
It's not political. That's.
Yeah, why is getting a vaccine? Why is delivering a baby political? What if it was like delivering with a midwife? Would be like, that's political. You should be doing it in a
You
hospital.
don't have any propane?
Yeah, we got propane.
I'm gonna go off the charts here, but
Yeah, sorry. I feel like
the
Susan,
reason that
too.
people think it's political is because they've been told it's political. It's not political. Live
So-
or die. It's health and safety. It doesn't about politics. It's
So,
about
what I
people
was
living
saying
and
is-
dying.
I told this to Chad. the
And
other
how to
day,
deal
like,
I completely agree with both of you, but
It's still weird for people, I
to
think.
believe
but
that it's not political, I feel is
They kinda
sticking
get
their
along
head in the
with stuff
sand.
well.
I mean, there are a lot of people that feel it's a political issue.
It's made political.
It
It's
has
not
been made political.
essentially political.
I agree completely.
So
And like I said, she's vaccinated. She said she would agree with the messaging, but she's just like,
But still sometimes
she felt it was,
they're like, you guys broke up.
to put it bluntly, slightly biased, which makes very little sense to me. And also the fact that it was a crosswalk made more of an issue to her as well.
Well,
Mind you, we only had a short conversation.
Well, yeah, I think we're gonna
One-
experience these volatile feelings no matter
Sorry.
what. It's okay.
Oh, no, I agree with you guys.
Miles.
Completely.
Yeah, no, I think we're gonna experience a lot of that, and we just have to push on. This is a great opportunity for artists. I mean, I know that Eric Wenderly is really excited and already thinking about it, and so I think that there's an interesting overlay too, in that the city wants to go ahead and help us connect with the Urban Canvas project. So I feel like we're going to have a really large, robust group of people interested in this, and we just have to do the best we can. And the one good thing about it is that we do have the 20 is plenty signs. And so there is a nice break in terms of WCAT art portfolio, that now there's a great traffic calming project that we're going to release soon. And so that's kind of a nice break maybe for the community from the vaccine stress that they're feeling.
I mean, ultimately, if you're asking me my opinion, I think, you just, like Doriana was saying, you just move forward and you go, like, we're not known. I mean, first of all, we're not known for that many projects, period, even though we've done a ton of projects. We've done contemporary art, we've done all sorts of stuff. So, we shouldn't be known as just like a group that's pushing one thing. This is just a part of our portfolio.
Yeah.
And moving forward, what are we gonna do? We gotta just keep going forward and making it about the artists getting money. That could, alleviate some. Anyway.
is huge.
Also, just like making it about the health of, just health and safety, like that. I mean,
Yes.
really, it's about health and safety and helping people be aware of health and safety on a neighborhood level. That's how I see it.
Mm.
But I'm very left leaning, so that's me.
Yeah, and I got, Travis just said he uploaded a few crosswalk images to the agenda thread, and like I
Oh.
got super huffy with Susan too, but I think we can't ignore what Travis is bringing up and what Josh is bringing up. And to the best of our ability, we need to make it as non-political as possible. Like we can make it fun, we can make it colorful, we can make it beautiful, and we can get artists paid. It won't be a trip that WCAT pays artists more for their work than the city of Eugene.
Yeah.
That's going to be the thing that like really makes a difference, because people are going to have their beef for sure. But yeah, I mean, like, how can you argue with people being paid for their work?
Yeah, that's huge.
The other thing is we have not, once we formulate what we want, we don't have any idea what is going to come into us. So it may, artists interpret. And so whatever we have in our minds, I don't have any idea where people are, how they're going to go, witness
Exactly.
how the murals
Brings up
are.
a good that brings up a good question. Is there money for proposals? Because if we paid finalized artists, like 3 of them, they could give us a rough draft and we could take that to the governing body and be like,
Right.
hey, this is our idea. Is this going to be good enough? What do you think about it? But we'd have to pay artists for their proposals then.
Well,
Like a step thing that people do a lot.
Mhm.
You know what I'm talking about.
yeah, I think, go ahead, Travis.
I did so I know the traffic people are pretty damn scrutinous about things that could be in the street and what can confuse motorists. I think the crosswalks still have to kind of look like crosswalks in order for
Yeah.
motorists to even get the fact that it's a crosswalk. Because I was looking at some images and some are just really confusing. You can't even tell it's a crosswalk. I mean, maybe they're in high prominent pedestrian areas like in Florida or somewhere, I don't know where they're at, but they're going to have to be kind of like within the certain guidelines that the traffic commission or whatever has, and they're really strict about what can be how things can be presented on the street so you don't cause accidents versus trying to prevent them. And they were really stringent when I was
that's another
working
good-
on a traffic box project a long time ago, and they killed my idea because they just didn't agree with the safety of it. So
Yeah, that's a really good point. And we've already kind of got some indication of that in preliminary meetings that Ian and I had with folks that I'd be interacting with. And you're absolutely right. So I think the best way forward is or that would be grant compliant as well, is for us to, as a team, create the call to the artist. And I should this week have the new revised traffic policies from the city, which will help us kind of think tank how we ask for the art to be submitted. And I'd like to do it so that we give folks about 3 to 4 weeks. And then what they'll do is send in a preliminary application that just kind of has an art idea, the CV, and then the city has requested that they have to have proof of murals in the past. So then we'll be working basically to vote on potential, not even a final idea per se, but a sketch. And then, my suggestion from there is that we have backups. We will do the same kind of voting teamwork that we did before, take 2 different big meetings to talk and assess it all, and then make our selections. And then we'll give the artists another several weeks to come back with a final proposal. And that would probably be due somewhere around mid-April, April 15th or something. And from there, then we have to take all that, choose how we want to parlay it, and then approve it through the city. So I think it's gonna be like multiple steps. But unless, and then during all that time, we need to be working as a team to ascertain where we can do this in the city. And that's back to that like suggested look. Yeah, Ian?
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. I'll go after.
Oh, just, that's okay. Then that's where we've really, that's makes me nervous that folks are expressing dissent already, because yeah, that's tricky.
Cookie
But-
Kapalka sure was.
Yeah. Yeah, Ian?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, like, if we have it in areas where people are excited about it, because there's going to be some areas where I'm not going to name drop the person that Josh did before. I don't even remember what their name is, but like, like there's going to be some places where people are like, I don't want that here. And that's good, right? That's a feature. That's not a bug. Because the places
Yeah,
where
another good point.
Yeah, the
Geographic
places-
location.
yeah, the places where we are going to have it, people are going to be stoked. Like, can you imagine being next to a Wade Love piece on like public health? It's going to be like insane. It's going to be like if a vaccine is full of LSD. Like, it's going to be completely different from any piece of work that anyone's seen before. So like, yeah, I mean, people at first are going to bristle, just like any change in the Whitaker. But as soon as they start to see it and they get pumped by it, I think people are going to feel a little bit different, or at least I hope they will.
Something else occurred to me. What about outdated messaging? Since it's going to be a mural that is going to be there for a while.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I don't have an answer.
I'm just really surprised at how like solid, even though there's a lot of different, we're a very diverse community. I just can't believe like how much the vax, non-vax polarity has split our neighborhood and really kind of like divided a lot of people who are really like tight, over just about most things. And all of a sudden there's this one thing and like nobody wants to be friends with this person because of this, and it's like super polarized political thing, and it shouldn't be, but it's become that way, I think, because of media and because of and it's even getting more politicized because of like people are trying to attach like, oh like anti-vaxxers are this fucking like these are Republicans, or it's like it's a political thing, and it's not really a political thing, it's a personal choice thing. And like it's just weird. I don't get it. Like, for people who are supposed to enjoy freedom and the ability to make best decisions and informed decisions, people are really polarized over this one thing, and it's really strange.
Sadly, I've had that experience as well.
Yeah, that's exhausting, having to think about security at the clinics and all of it. Yeah, it's really a dark like divide in our culture. So anyway, but we forge on and we have this great opportunity. So yeah, I hope that maybe this is a really interesting way to empower voices and unite them through the culture of art. So let's do it.
I think you have a great plan, and we'll just keep moving forward, and then we'll have these conversations again when we're looking at actual art. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I'd love to get feedback from you guys about like if that kind of covers maybe I'll get a draft going, and then we could like connect as a team again. I would welcome meeting again next Monday. I know we said we'd kind of go back and forth, but this is a big topic. So if y'all are up to meeting again Monday, that would be great. And could we start kind of think tanking some locations that maybe feel like they'd have the least amount of pushback, through business owners, or, we've got Nelson there now, and Sam kind of kitty corner and the Red Barn. All those are really supportive of our endeavors.
is there a way to like think about it in terms of the least amount of people we'd have to petition?
Well,
is there also like any sort of market? Is there any sort of like not testing the market, but market research that might guide us into what areas? Like, is there a way? Are there like community leaders that would know more? I guess you guys would know who they are if there were.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's why I'm immediately starting towards business corners, because it's a business. It's not a big
Yeah.
apartment complex where we got to connect with. Ian?
Also, the highest traffic area, the short answer is yes, we definitely have some, and I'll ask that at the next Whitaker Community Council Board meeting, which is on Wednesday. And also like Travis said, like these murals, there's some preliminary evidence that shows that they slow down traffic, right? That people slow down because they're like, what's that? So we can place them at high speed areas and frame it too as like a public safety thing as well. Even though the content has to be, you know, a vaccine, people might think of a vaccine differently, right? Like look at the yard signs. In the Dorothy Smith yard sign, it's two people hugging, right? There's no needles anywhere. So you know,
Perfect. Yep.
if you're at that corner of Blair, right, and Fourth, like right next to Nelson's and the Wits, like, yeah, I think that's like a high traffic area where people are like cruising on Blair really fast. And we want geographic equity too, right? We want to put them in 97401 on the eastern side of the freeway and on the western side of the freeway in the WIT too. So yeah, I think that if we came up with,
Let's just hide those sons of bitches in the most rural zone in the entire Whitaker. Get that money, pay those artists, and move that fund.
they're like all in the same
just
place.
kidding.
They're in like parking lots.
Yeah, yeah.
What if we do half pro and half anti, and then everybody's happy? And then you could pick your neighborhood. We get a bunch of anti-vax in the neighborhood. You put anti-vax one over there. And you
We
put pro
thought
over there.
you were talking about vaccine confidence, that the vaccines were poison. Like, oh, we didn't understand.
You're like, don't get it, and then 3 blocks down it says do get it, and then it's like, oh well, make up your own mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're making the guy with COVID cough, Travis. So watch out. You know, Josh is no longer going to be with us if you keep making him laugh. Jeez.
Oh gosh.
What do you
Okay.
think, Ellen? What about you, Susan? In terms of locations, are there any intersections that really?
I want them to be near my house. If I had voting power, I'd say put them near my house.
I mean, you do.
Well,
You can make a suggestion right now, and I'll
I
bring
wa-
it to the board on Wednesday.
Well, Fifth and Tyler, but there's no businesses there. They're all residential, but I know most of the people there. I don't know that they're pro or anti, but I know some of them. And also Fifth and Blair, which is right near my house. I would love one to be there.
Okay, what
You know,
happens
there's
when
taco
people-
bars there, and there's like a fish plate,
Yeah.
home fish place there, but there's apartments on one corner, and I don't know how that might work. And I no longer know anyone that lives there. I used to, but I don't now. I think it's partly release. There are some release people in there, prison release people, but I don't know. And
what happens if we petition people and they're like, no, thank you. Then what? We just find a new spot.
yeah, I don't know how close. I don't know if it's the people that live there or the people that own the property. That's a question I would have in terms of permission or okaying it
Mhm.
being near them. And then there's that on the other end, there's Polk and Fifth,
Mhm.
where there's a no turn access supposedly that people ignore constantly. But coming from Sixth down to Fifth and Polk, and there's a over by I wonder about this one, over by on First or whatever that street is where the clay space is. It's actually not a 4-way, but it's a high traffic area, and that's a problematic traffic area right there. That strip that goes from Blair over to Chambers, people use that, go too fast down there. And I know that I've been in many meetings during before COVID where people were concerned about that strip. That it's a bus route also,
Uh-huh.
but and right now there is clay space and some storage locker places, and I think I don't know what business is across the street. It's changed a couple times, but there aren't as many people to engage there. Anyway, those
Yeah.
are my ideas.
Susan, those are so excellent, and they really bring a brilliant idea in that people starting in their own neighborhoods is a really strong point. You know, like you've got Polk and Fifth, that's near Ian. So Ian's got to know one or two neighbors and can begin a small conversation with folks to kind of canvas in a gentle way and prepare folks for the idea. You know, Josh, is your location logical? Maybe we start near your house, and Ellen, we start near you.
Carl?
Well, I'm on North
No.
Grand and there's
You get
constant
it without-
traffic.
No.
Okay, yeah, I don't know where you live, but like Travis, one of your intersections is perfect right there. That's a fast, you know. What are you on again?
I live by the most confusing crosswalk. The city,
Yeah.
when they put it in on Jefferson and Broadway, it is so confusing. People stop when there's nobody crossing the street. They don't stop when you're trying to cross the street. It's a 2-lane road. So if one side stops, sometimes the other side doesn't stop. So
Oh, you mean
have
on
to, like,
Broadway, they don't stop?
yeah,
going-
on Washington, Jefferson. And then Washington, they don't even stop because there's so many cones and stuff that you can't even see if somebody's standing on the corner. But it does need some help, but I might just have to guerrilla that.
That's a great space. Particularly, it's a really great, for me, my experience is different. I don't live near there, but I go there on my bike really often. And I love the fact that cars think they have to stop. Because when I go anywhere near that intersection, most cars just stop. And it was like, oh, great, okay,
I
fantastic.
walk out. I just walk out now.
Yeah.
I'm like, hit me in the crosswalk.
That's a good one there where they have that crosswalk that people don't know really what to do, so they just stop all the time.
Yeah. And
What
it's a really
what
high, Broadway is a really travel thing. They do the Sunday streets.
Yeah.
So they close off the stuff, and we have like a lot of things happen down Broadway. It is a really high traffic, high volume road.
What about over by what's that place? The restaurant that I can never think of their name, by Washington Jefferson Park. It's not really a park. What's the name of that place? Help me.
the restaurant?
Yeah, the restaurant over on across from the encampment.
So kind of across from Backyard Farmer,
Down further.
Oh, like Braille's?
Rails. Yeah.
No, not on Fifth. On either Washington or Jefferson.
Old Nick's?
Yes, thank you very much. They
Okay.
might be, and across from them is just the park.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
Emily
Yeah,
is
that's a
really
great
pro.
idea.
Yeah, Emily is super pro vaccine, the owner of Old Nick's. She's a big supporter.
Yeah, I know that, yeah. And you just have to talk to the city and Old Nick's. But, and I think there's a house.
a great
kind of
idea.
there.
That's,
No, not anymore. They tore the house down.
Okay, years, okay. That's, anyway,
that's awesome. Yeah, that's a great start.
anyway.
Yeah,
those-
I love kind of connecting where businesses are already, equitable in terms of, I mean, what about or Blair Alley, Travis? Like you've got, well, you're a little bit up the road, but like that's a great intersection. It's at First and Blair. You got an Ninkasi, and then there's I don't know, that's not a high traffic area though, but.
But also down by Brett Pendlebury's studio, over by Wildcraft,
Mm-hmm.
over by REI down there. Let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah, because sadly, it seems like businesses would be would be like the low hanging fruit in terms of,
Like, what's that street up by Ian's house where it goes one way and then it stops and you have to like go around, and there's like a big median that everybody just drives over all the time?
is that
Oh, Fifth and
Almaden?
Almaden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Almaden?
It's an amazing, that'd be a good spot too, because you could utilize that concrete thing too.
huh,
There's not much traffic really there. It's already a slow traffic area. I mean, there's not much traffic there.
Well, it's funny because the first or the only intersection mural that's in Eugene thus far is up on Olive and 24. And there's nobody goes there. It's such a silly deal.
I used to live right by there. I used to see that
It's really pretty. Yeah,
Like-
but it just
like
doesn't,
15 years ago.
yeah, it seems oddly placed in terms of people seeing it. So,
Maybe they had a hard time placing it.
oh no.
It's just like, well, maybe they couldn't find a place and those people were the only ones that would let it be there. It's
There's
just
a
a
Black
thought.
Lives Matter one in front of the courthouse or whatever that big building.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
Well, that's great. That's 8 suggestions right out of the gate. And that's a great start. So yeah, it looks like we're winding down, so I don't want to keep anybody past, but if like, let's just be thinking about that this week as we meander about and do our lives and like, see if we can nail down a couple more. And we should have, I think we should choose 15 because we can expect 5, could be negated by the city or we run into huge trouble. So maybe that should be the goal. And this week I'm going to be gathering those, the new revised traffic policies from the city. So I'll get a draft kind of going for a call to artists, and then maybe we could look at that as a group next week and revise and add and get ready to push it out. What do you think? Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
that will guide us immensely.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah, I think
I
so.
have to go, but I'm up to meeting again next week if that's what happens.
yeah. I'll put it on
Yeah.
my,
Is that good for you, Travis? Can we meet next week? Okay, super. Let's do that. All right, folks, have a good week. I'll see you soon.
Love you.
Thank you. Bye.
bye. Thank you.